Day lockdown at midnight has confirmed cases rise to 927. Now Gauteng has 409 cases, and Gauteng remains the epicenter of coronavirus in South Africa, and South Africa becomes, essentially becomes the epicenter of coronavirus in the African continent. And more than 8,000 people have died, in that country since its reported case of COVID-19. Now the HPC SA's Dr. Letlhape is warning that a nonchalant attitude from the public could overwhelm the country's entire health system.
If you look globally anywhere else where people have not taken precautions and they have not been able to cap the spread of the disease in society, even expensive healthcare systems like you have in the US cannot withstand epidemiological failure. So people need to understand that the way out of this epidemic is to make the 21 days of the lockdown count. It is in the hands of every South African to ensure that we come out not in terrible shape post the 21 days.
Well, as we mentioned earlier on, our reporters are in different parts of the country just monitoring how the lockdown will be implemented in the various parts of the country. And our reporter, Jaylee Polzer, is in Durban and she joins us now. Jaylee, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I see there's a little bit of activity where you are. Do you want to take us through where you are, what exactly is happening, and are people in Durban ready for the lockdown?
A very good evening to the viewers. Well, one would think that, people would start clearing the streets, but here in downtown KZN, in downtown Durban, there's still a hive of activity, a lot of people, a lot of cars, a lot of people on foot as well, moving up and down. And I've actually spoken to some people asking them, are they going to heed President Cyril Ramaphosa's call? Are they going to go home? Many are saying they're still making their way home. Many are still saying they still have about 3 hours left before the lockdown for 21 days, and I think some people are just enjoying the free time for now. But let's chat to a couple of people and ask them why they're still out at this time. So just tell us, why are you still out? Should you not be at home getting ready for the nationwide lockdown?
First and foremost, we are used to stay outside. The cause of it, some of the structures, there are like this one. It end up some of the people, they are staying there.
So you're saying that the building or your flat or apartment is not conducive for staying at home. You'd rather be outside.
Yes. I'll agree on that point, because if you can have a look, just go inside there, you can see. During the lockdown, the lockdown, what will happen to the people that are staying there? Automatically, they'll go out. They will need to go out. To understand what I'm trying to say. So you will have a question of asking why we are here on the street. Not exactly what we are here on the street just because we like to, but we're gonna go back to that into our place where we stay.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. So let's move on to this gentleman over here. So why are you still out about on the street? Should you not be at home with your family?
Yeah, correct. We should have been. But I am here since there's been a call to say that, it's not advisable. You cannot be in favor of your family enough. Had you been at home now, what if I come with a disease? I come from I'm from the urban area, so I have to be where I am. My concern is only one. We've got people that are staying in shelters here too. That I'm very much concerned, because you pay for a day, for that particular night that you're staying. You have to vacate, in the next morning. What happens now? How do we control things like that? That's a biggest question that we have.
There's a lot of people still out on the streets. And so, Piso, you know, just driving around, thank you so much for your views. Just driving around, you get the sense that a lot of people who are homeless don't have a place to go. And I think a lot of people want to know, where are they going to sleep tonight? We've actually been driving as the SABC up and down, and we've seen a couple of these people walking about. But downtown Central in Durban, still a lot of activity, still a hive of activity here. And I suppose this will probably happen until midnight, where we see that lockdown happen. And then the army take the floor and possibly start moving people into their areas, start taking them off the streets, and possibly clearing the roads of any activity. Tsepiso.
Well, Jadley, just before I let you go, the country's authorities in an interministerial briefing did indicate that some of the homeless people will be accommodated at different shelters in Gauteng. That announcement was made by Gauteng Education MEC Panyaza Lesufi. So from what you've seen on the streets of Durban, has there been any provision for the homeless people that they should be accommodated in different shelters?
Well, initially, you know, one of my colleagues in the office here, Simpiwe, was actually out and about today. He was covering the story and speaking to several people who are homeless on the streets, asking them, how do they feel about this lockdown? I mean, do they feel excluded from the rest of the country? And there have been designated areas, I must make mention of this, there has been in KZN designated areas where people can go, but still very concerning that at this hour, there are still some homeless people, walking the streets here in downtown Durban.
And then the president was at pains trying to reassure South Africans that the food chains, the supply chain will not be affected. Food will be readily available at most, if not all, the supermarkets and the eateries and the food centers. But in terms of panic buying, have you seen such happening in Durban?
30 seconds,
We have, indeed we have. I mean, today we have been up since 5 o'clock this morning, chatting to various people, going to the taxi ranks, going to bus stops. We also passed several of the shops, just gauging what are people doing. Are they going to the shops, ensuring that they, buy the last goods before the lockdown? One thing I can say is that many of the liquor stores here in KwaZulu-Natal were jam-packed. We saw very long queues, snaking. We also drove around in the CBD, also saw a lot of people, stocking up on the last minute, especially those who unfortunately can't stock up, who have been working around the clock, those essential services, those people who unfortunately work at night and can't make it to the shops. We've seen those people come out during the day and actually stock up. And I think many people across the country are gearing up for the lockdown, and I suppose today being the last day, they made sure to hit the shops, to get the necessities, especially the smokers, especially those that indulge with it, and also those who haven't had the time to stock up their fridges.
All right, Jadley Poza, thank you so much. We'll certainly touch base with you a little later on tonight as the country braces for a lockdown, a 21-day lockdown that will be taking place in the next, in just under 2.5 hours. So now we go back to the main desk with Aldrin and Tsepiso.